Yeah. I'm just putting this on. You hearing?
Live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to DX3 Pulse, our webinar series, which we will be conducting over the next 6 to 7 months, where we will put together different various panels to talk about things that are happening in the retail and the marketing industry. And I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome Nadine Hall to today's panel. Let me just give you a little bit of background about Nadine. Nadine is former executive lead of $2 billion plus men's Hanes champion and licensed Polo Ralph Lauren underwear and sleepwear business division, a division of Hanes Brands, a Fortune 500 company. Nadine has 25 plus year P&L strategy, marketing, finance, operations, and general management experience. She has strong expertise in growing and obtaining a competitive advantage for leading multi-billion-dollar apparel brands and product lines in the men's and women's and children's innerwear, activewear, athletic, and technical apparel and CPG categories, taking Hanes, Champion, licensed Polo Ralph Lauren, licensed DKNY, and the Eggs hosiery to a number 2 market position in the United States. She has consistently achieved top-line revenue-driven, profitable growth and a strong track record of results, owning several multi-billion-dollar P&Ls covering multiple distribution channels, online, direct-to-consumer, mass retailer, specialty, and off-price discount, both domestically and internationally, for notable retailers including Walmart, Target, Amazon, Dick's, Kohl's, Macy's, CVS, Sports Authority, and PacSun. Nadine is also adept in developing and implementing diverse yet innovative growth strategies, strategic plans, and go-to-market initiatives for acceleration and long-term value creation, identifying where to invest, and then capitalizing on growth opportunities in both growing and stagnant mature markets, identifying and entering into strategic alliances and partnerships, and an organizational realignment to optimize costs and overall profitability. Over the course of her career, Nadine built and led teams across a wide range of functions, including sales, e-commerce, brand marketing, merchandising, product merchandising, licensing, product design, category management, and product development. Prior to her current role, Nadine worked at Hanes Brands, HBI as president, Basics, leading the $2 billion plus men's, women's, and kids' underwear and sock business to a 10-year high sales and market share growth by revamping the existing operating model and achieving board and C-suite buy-in amidst internal company change. Nadine also served as president, Champion North America, achieving $1 billion plus in annualized retail sales while creating a new product line for Target, C9, and as president, retail outerwear. She was also a vice president, general manager, hosiery at the Sara Lee Corporation, where she created a new strategic brand repositioning. Nadine holds a master's of business administration from Ken Flagler Business School at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and a Bachelor of Arts from Duke University, where she received the Duke University Senior Leadership Award. Nadine is currently a board member of the Adeline Sugar Company, where she oversaw tremendous growth and a $50 million successful shareholder payout. She's also a former vice chair and co-creator of the Women's Leadership Council of the United Way of Forsyth County, and a current board member of University of North Carolina at Greensboro Bryan School of Business and Economics, Consumer Apparel Retail Studies, a former board member for Renault, the House Museum of American Art, part of Wake Forest University. Nadine currently resides in Louisville, North Carolina, enjoys travel, sport, and reading. And only thing more impressive than her resume is actually Nadine's humility. So let me welcome Nadine. Nadine, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate you making the time.
Oh my goodness, Faz. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you all today and the whole day. It's really a pleasure, and I appreciate the chance to talk with you.
Well, thank you very much, and pleasure is all ours. So let me just get started. And we want to talk about, one, understanding where is the apparel industry and get a sense of sort of the status of the apparel industry. So where do you think the industry is at the moment?
Yeah, I think one thing we always try and do in our businesses is grounding ourselves in the consumer data. So pre-COVID, we saw obviously change over the past decade or so, that from a formal to more informal apparel. And now post-COVID, with return to the office, we see more tailored apparel, but also some of the performance and comfort features really blending into everyday apparel. So we think about in men's underwear, we would think about wicking in underwear. We think about stretch fabrics newly in men's apparel. So those kinds of things would be particularly important to as we continue to come out of COVID. Also, ease of purchase. So that seamlessness across brick and mortar and retail environments is important. With the economy today a little bit more challenged, value particularly is important. And really, it's not necessarily the lowest price, but the optimal mix of sort of price and quality over time. And then sustainability. And this is both in products, but also in companies and how they operate and think about their sustainability practices and the achievements they want to make there. So consumers are always very interested in sustainability. In some categories, willing to pay a little bit more, but in many, it's more challenging to provide that. And yet, some of those opportunities really cost a little bit more. So there's a balance there of continuing to innovate in sustainability and drive those metrics and find ways also to offer to consumers at a great value.
I mean, within, for example, from the sustainability point of view, how much of focus or effort is still being put in within sort of the apparel industry to look at more sustainable fabrics?
Mm-hmm. I think there's a great deal of work underway overall, and it's really, you kind of hit the nail on the head. There's the fabric part, which is very much in front of the consumer, and we think about it a great deal. There's also the fibers that are used, so they might be sustainable, and the total fabric might have that as a component. There's also the packaging, which is a key feature for us overall, and the sense of recycling and reusing of apparel. And then also consumers today are interested in companies' points of view and their advances in sustainability. So it's an important part of the broader strategic picture.
And in your opinion, what are sort of the major trends we are seeing in the industry right now? What sort of the trends you think will become a mainstay in the next 3 to 5 years?
Mm-hmm. I think individuality, so the ability for consumers to find apparel that fits their lifestyle, that's versatile, has inclusive sizing. I think those things will be important with specific products. There also is a desire for being able to curate. So there's so many options today. Consumers want to know that you've sort of curated the very best of the best for them, and that they can find things relatively easily. There's also a big emphasis on wellness. So self-care, that would include things like products that help you be able to move easily in everyday life. And then also cool and cooling products would be particularly important. So again, providing that versatility of use. And value is going to continue to be important even as the economy rebounds. So that sense of, I've got products that are multifunctional, they're adaptable, they're durable for all types of uses. Those things I think will be important in the days ahead and even farther out.
And within sort of that, are we anywhere near where we think that people can customize sort of their product and then it be produced for them? I mean, I'm specifically talking about sizes. I mean, for innerwear, obviously everyone is different and everyone's requirements. So is there any thought, is there any sort of conversation about having the ability, almost sort of making it made to measure kind of experience, even if it's a slightly higher price point, that, okay, people can actually have something that's fitted for them?
Yeah, it's a great point. And so absolutely at higher price points, there'll be more ability to provide that kind of versatility and wide range of sizes and fits. I think also, though, there's more work being done about making consumers able to buy the product assortment in colors or sizes that they want. Some more flexibility to kind of build your own packs, I think, are coming in places like underwear. As well, there are certain types of raw materials, whether it's fabrics or waistbands, that provide more fit for a broader range of consumers. So your size ranges can fit a broader range depending on the types of materials you use or create. So I think that is something, like you said, that is going to be important to consumers and more available to more people as we go forward.
And in this sort of ever-changing apparel industry, and we've seen a whole gamut of changes come through in the last 30, 35, 40 years. What are sort of the major innovations that you see, or where is this industry sort of focusing in terms of innovating what it does?
Yeah, I think it's driven essentially by the consumer. So that role of innovation is going to be largely around growth in the industry, I think, in general. So consumers' interest in giving them something new to try, that's going to be important for revitalizing brands or giving consumers a chance to get to know a brand in a new way. We're also going to see new products that are drawing new users to individual brands and opening people's minds. We're also going to create new products for incremental usage or purchase occasions. And I'm also thinking about trying to drive dollar growth in the category because new products tend to cost a little bit more per garment. So those kinds of things are going to be important. And we've been seeing in the last 10 years, we think about, or even more, we think about companies like Lululemon and Spanx. They've really done a lot of new things to provide different wearing occasions, but also versatility for consumers. So I think we'll continue to see that come out.
And in terms of the consumer behavior, what sort of changes have you seen in the last 5, 10 years in terms of the consumer behavior of buying behavior? Is it primarily that online or e-commerce has become a mainstay, or are there other sort of buying behaviors that you think you can share a few insights with us?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things is going to be the consumers are going to continue to want to see sustained kind of linkage between a brick and mortar offering and an online offering. So they are often, as you see, consumers are standing in a brick and mortar store and they have the website up on the phone and they're going back and forth or engaging with brands in new ways. So I think the ease of finding and purchasing apparel as well as of repurchase of favorites is going to be important. I think, like we were discussing a minute ago, the curation of assortment while maintaining choices is going to be particularly important. And I think consumers are going to look for services or features that are value adds. There's something more for them and improves the versatility. I also think about kind of thinking about at higher price points, you may see a little bit more of even concierge selling or in-home buying in apparel. I think those things could be particularly important. So those would be relevant there.
Could you spend a couple of minutes to talk about sort of concierge buying and how would that look like, and what does that sort of seem?
Yeah, I think that could be something where you have today, some of the concierge buying is really at very high price points in apparel, but you might be able to see opportunities for a broader base of sort of maybe one-time establishing of a wardrobe, whether it's innerwear or other products, and then be able to repurchase those online or see new innovations in home that might be the kind of the cutting edge, whether they're sustainable or more versatile. And so those things might happen there with even, maybe AI kind of enabling some of those things too.
And how do you see in terms of growth? I mean, you've had a lot of success in growing businesses, both in terms of market share as well as top line growth. So how do you manage that? How do you achieve that? Like, what does help a business leader to grow a business? Like, what does it require?
Yeah, I think that sort of begins with a few key things. So one is the consumer. So understanding that consumer and everything about their need states, the purchase occasions, the types of purchases they want to make and when and how, those things are critical. And they can be understood with internal proprietary consumer insights and research or more industry knowledge by the team, or that can be sought out with others as experts. I think also is a continued focus on one's customers, whether they're brick and mortar customers or one's own internal brick and mortar online or retail brick and mortar customers, understanding what their needs are, creating solutions that are overcoming the challenges that they might have in their business, whether they need a new consumer, they need to drive traffic, they need a story or greater presentation in store to draw consumers in. I think also thinking about incrementality. So where are there incremental consumers, new channels, new usage occasions for products? Those things would be particularly important. And then thinking about marketplace advantages. So what are the competitive advantage of your brand or business? And what are long-term ways to differentiate yourselves in consumers' minds from competition? And then thinking about what things could be exclusively yours, whether it's a fabric that you can only offer to consumers or you've created a new product that can be patented. Those things are going to be important particularly. I think also thinking about what things can be scaled so you have lower cost or brought to market more rapidly. Those things would be competitive advantages also and help to drive some of the both sales and share, but also profitability gains.
I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, obviously you've had a fair bit of experience in major brands like Champion and Hanes that are well-established, mature brands, but also from an outsider like myself, not something you think about a lot, right? Like it's not something when you go to a shop or a mall, you're thinking about those brands. It's only when you actually need an innerwear you actually want to go buy it. So how do you sustain that growth over a long period of time? Like how, because I mean, your brands have been number one or number two in the marketplace. That's amazing. So how do you sustain that growth and how do you sustain that share?
Yeah, it's a great question, Faz. And one of the things that we have to think about always is we have leading shares, continuing to focus on gaining share to make sure we're at least holding it. So continued innovation in product is a key one, but also new go-to-market strategies, new business models that might be more appealing to either consumers or customers, process improvement, so improving efficiency of everything we do all the time, and then thinking about the in-store online merchandising. So in what kind of environment are the products sold and how can that make it a more pleasurable, simple, easy process? There's also leveraging the learning across brick and mortar and digital because we're able to find out a lot about how consumers use our products and enjoy our products, and we can bring that into the messaging in brick and mortar. I think also continuing to learn more and more about consumers and what it takes to both cause your existing consumers to repurchase or give them a reason to, or to draw new consumers into the franchise. I think also leveraging the product to support the brand's connection with consumers so that those new products can change the perception of consumers to make them feel like, well, this is a brand for me, or this is a product that really gave me a sense that this is a brand that's modern and fresh and new and doing innovative things, and I want to be part of that. So can do all those things to help sustain that methodology over time. But it's kind of the bar is always raised, and so when you have to think about what can we do in a different way that will be appealing to consumers, but also help customers with solutions.
And now purely from sort of a management's perspective, like as a manager, how do you balance market share versus profitability, right? Because general consensus has been for a long time that sometimes you have to sacrifice your top line in order to grow market share and the other way around. But how do you balance those two things?
Yeah, I think one way is kind of knowing where and how you make money. So what are the products we have and the businesses that consumers love and that we also where we make money, and mixing and paying attention and funding investment in those and bringing them to the forefront to consumers. I think it's also understanding what channels are growing and what is the profitability in those channels that are growing, where there might be an opportunity to have outsized growth greater than the overall market. I also think it's about investment. So how can you make an investment that will really drive sales, but also drive sales in those places where the consumer's really interested in learning more and can be drawn to the brand in general. And then I think we're watching for opportunities for greater efficiency, cost cutting where you can, and ensuring there's very tight management control of all operating parts of the business.
And what kind of competitive pressures are at play for a manager like you who is running and leading a team? What kind of competitive pressures the industry is seeing right now, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of competitive pressures because the competitive environment is relatively intense in the apparel business. So there are digitally native brands, there are long-standing national brand competitors, there are private label brands that are doing new things. So we really have to think about the key consumer segments, which ones are going to be critical to our business, and what is our share, and how can we grow our share in those segments. To think about product portfolio that focuses on those most important segments in consumers. And then we have to think about also leveraging channels strategically, as I mentioned. So those channels that are the fastest growing or that have the most incremental consumer base, those are going to be particularly important. Also thinking about what is the opportunity for seamlessness of experience so that we continue to make it easier and easier for consumers to buy our products.
I mean, it kind of leads into what I wanted to ask you next, which is for a new retail or an apparel business, what are the key metrics they should be looking at? Like, what are the things you will tell them that, okay, here are the few 4 or 5 things you must keep an eye on constantly?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So as I mentioned before, absolutely critical knowing where and how you make money. What are those businesses? And then thinking about all the different parts of sales. So units, revenue per unit, but also dollars, average suggested retail, and how its trend is evolving. And then key drivers of consumer purchase behavior. So things like gas prices might affect brick and mortar purchases, or ease of mobile shopping and speed might drive more consumers to buy online, those kinds of things. Continuing to look at efficiency metrics. So this is the absolute SKU count, but also the average revenue per SKU or profitability per SKU, understanding all those metrics. And then customer service fill rates for shipping a product, and which customers require what level of investment and how is the best way to help them grow their business. And then maybe most simply is that inventory turn and GMROI and metrics you have on your business in a broader way.
I mean, for a layman like me, sometimes it seems that innerwear or any article of clothing is so tactile and experiential that how do you make that into either an e-commerce purchase or direct to consumer? Like, is that a possibility that people will accept that without having to actually feel what the article looks like?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because what we've found over time is that consumers are, they'll buy repeat purchases of products they're already wearing. But the internet provides us a unique opportunity to explain products and product features in a way that we can't really do very well, often in brick and mortar environments. And even there's an opportunity, as I said, to have that seamlessness between online and brick and mortar. Consumers might sort of educate themselves or learn about new products online and give them a chance to engage with the brand. And then when they go to brick and mortar, they can actually see it and touch it. But we find that we're able to describe fabrics and the feeling and being trusted for fit. Those things make consumers comfortable trying things online. And so we generally have had very good success, particularly with new products that have more technical features or offer solutions that are new to consumers. So they're open to trying different things.
So, I mean, in that sort of space, then, is there an opportunity for sort of implementing or having a larger role for alternative reality, virtual reality kind of experiences where, I mean, I know that within sort of sun or sort of glasses, you can now basically put your picture, video and try different looks and see how it seems like. So you think even within sort of the apparel industry eventually, or that's the direction we are going towards, where I can pick and choose different cuts and different styles and see how they look on my body type or my shape. And,
Yes,
and would that become more prevalent?
Yes, I think it will become more prevalent too, as we're looking for that sort of customization for each consumer. They want to find the right product for them. So the beauty of that would be, certainly there are algorithms that will help with fit, but also a sense that that consumers can see what it looks like, but also understand the different fits that are available. And over time, that will also help us with developing products that kind of draw the consumer's attention, but also fit the greatest number of people in the most meaningful way. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and it should lead to a lot more consumer satisfaction and ease of finding the right product for them.
I mean, over the past few years, one, obviously manufacturing, most of it has moved out of North America.
Mhm.
And also within sort of clothing or apparel business, the price point. So it seems like one of the bigger things is that brand has become more important. If it's
Mhm.
below that name recognition or a price point, it's basically just get it done outside and ship it out to it. Do you see more sort of local manufacturing being part of it? Do you think that there is an opportunity for people to look at that as either a competitive advantage or as a quality assurance kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that you're exactly right. But competitive advantage, quality, and also that sense of community. I think that definitely will happen at higher price point items where people are maybe looking for a gift item or particularly in outerwear. But it could be something overall that they just have that sense of I'm purchasing something in my local community or an online community, and keeping that revenue here. So I think this sense of physical community, but also virtual community that might be geographically dispersed is going to be important going forward. There's some categories like fresh food, etc., and selective apparel items that will always be local, but I think that redefining of local to mean a community potentially of like-minded people who might be global geographically, but connected virtually, and maybe periodically in person. I think those things could be new ways of thinking about community. I also think with AI and automation, there's potential for much more local and regional customization of garments, but also that sort of finishing work being done in a more local manner.
So in your opinion, what are sort of the major 3 or 4 trends that you see taking shape over the next 3 to 5 years within the industry?
Yeah, I think this idea of sort of ease of finding and purchasing apparel that feels as though it's curated for the individual consumer, as well as ease of repurchase, are going to be absolutely critical. I think curated assortments while balancing the maintenance of choice is going to be also important, that you have a sense of I can see the options that are curated for me, but then I can easily pick them. I think the sense of incremental services or value-added features, things that make products more versatile at competitive price points, are going to be important. And I think the sense of merchandising overall. So thinking about good, better, best, and consumer segments, and really the brand's unique points, those being brought forward, are going to be important. I also think the sense of sort of having sustained brick and mortar outlets are going to be particularly important. And thinking about potentially physical locations as showrooms, not unlike you'd have a furniture showroom or in many footwear departments, or pickup and return centers, that those physical locations would be chances to interact with product, but maybe it would still be shipped to you. And we did talk earlier about that concierge selling. I think there'll be a place for that potentially for us also. So those are some of the things I see, both product as well as ways of shopping.
So put it in a not such a great way. It is like you can go into like an IKEA showroom, experience the product, and then you have to go someplace else or basically order right there, and then it will be either given to you at the store in a package or it arrives at your home. But you have an opportunity to basically go and just look and feel at the product and test it out.
Yes.
And see how it fits, which
exactly.
I guess in a way will reduce costs. I mean, if you don't need huge floor space,
right,
and if it's just either a spot where you can pick up and drop, so returns, or where you're in and out only to check the product and like
right,
how it feels in your hand effectively. That's
Yes.
interesting. That's actually very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And looking back, I mean, you've had a very successful career. So looking back at your career,
Great.
are there any things that you saw that you think, okay, that's a tipping point? The industry has changed. I mean, obviously, COVID was one, so online is the default. A lot of like we were pushed into that in that direction where we really didn't have a choice whether we wanted to adapt or not. So prior to that, were there any sort of major pivot points that you saw that you thought, okay, these have had a fundamental effect on the businesses or how we run our business?
Yeah. It's a great question. I mean, most recently, of course, is the e-commerce. But even before that, if I think about a number of decades ago, you think about casualization. That really was a chance to think about. Like many of us were in the hosiery business then. Is that can you think about new products that would be important to consumers? So we used to talk a lot more about socks and tights, and think about, we're in the leg covering business. We're in the sort of overall base layer for women kind of a business. So casualization brought a lot more interest in products that would have a more versatile use, but still allowed a sense of fashion beyond basic hosiery that was worn one time every day. I think the second one was athleisure, and we were certainly at Hanes, we were part of that too. The C9 by Champion business was really a bringing of performance apparel to the masses, and in a way that hadn't been done before, because previously performance apparel was very expensive and only available in a certain number of outlets. I think also from there, some of the work we did in Champion to think about new product development, and again, reaching consumers with curated assortments, and assortments that allowed it sort of a differentiation on the floor. Those things were relatively new at that time. So those have changed, hopefully, the buying experience, but also the kind of the value that consumers can see in our products, that they felt that there was something unique for them.
And on a personal level, I mean, there are not that many women who've had an opportunity to go lead $2-3 billion businesses and run major brands as you've had. So can you talk a little bit about your journey and the challenges that you faced along the way?
Yeah, I am very grateful, Faz, for all those who've mentored me and the opportunities I've had, and really to grow up in the apparel industry and then get to being a GM and a leader. That has been very powerful. And we've worked over the years, many teams, to driving sustainability through brand building, customer development, people leadership, and also thinking about continuous innovation. It's product innovation, but it's also other innovations in our operating of the business that would drive profitability in terms of sales and also market share growth. And then the chance to mentor and build teams that delivered high performance in terms of financial metrics. Those things have really been luxuries over time. And the opportunities have been great. So I've been grateful for that. The challenges really, and I like to think that there are opportunities in a couple of areas. So learning and developing in progressively larger roles with new responsibilities. So thinking about how to embrace new leadership opportunities and new challenges. Being mentored by exceptional leaders across varying levels of and areas of expertise has been a great luxury, a humbling luxury. Having faced a wide variety of business challenges over the years and gained experience in those. So some has been with breakthrough business models, some has been rejuvenating leading brands, some has been launching businesses into new channels of distribution. And the last is probably just building resiliency and flexibility by leading in times of quite tremendous change. So all those things have made for really a wonderful experience. And I've been grateful to work with so many different teams and to be a part of those teams, as well as to be mentored over the years by many great leaders.
I mean, one of the things that you touched upon is change.
Mm-hmm.
So what is sort of your advice or your thoughts on managing that change? Obviously, not everyone is as good at it. I mean, a few people are better at it than others. Obviously, everyone can learn and understand how to do that. So what are your thoughts in terms of how did you manage change, and how did you sort of manage or cope with changing environment and changing landscape?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really embracing it as a chance to build resiliency in oneself, but also to lead in times when leadership is needed and is going to be important to sustaining the health of the business. I think also looking at the business metrics and studying how those metrics might be changing. So this metric is going to be particularly important as a view of our success or of challenges that we need to be overcoming. And I think the last piece is thinking about the longer term. So this is our longer term strategic goal. How is the current environment or the changes we're seeing going to hopefully make it faster and easier to get there? or produce new opportunities or present challenges that we need to be working on today. So it's really an opportunity to think about things differently and to push yourself to learn new things and hopefully help become more resilient oneself, but also help one's teams with building their own resiliency.
I mean, a couple of things you'd mentioned. One, you've mentioned leadership a few times. I wanted to understand, what is your view of leadership? What makes a good leader in your experience?
Well, I think the good leaders, and I've known many of them, are at the same time passionate about building the business, driving the business forward, doing new things, using the data to make a metered plan for doing something differently, but just as much focused on the team, developing their team, giving people new opportunities, training, supporting their growth, helping them find the things that really they're passionate about in their careers, and thinking about the little broader view. So what is the bigger impact? When you and I were together in March at the DX3 in Canada, you and I talked a little about an underwear business overall, but thinking about the greater purpose. So we as market leaders, we led the market. We can delight consumers with new products. We can address consumers' needs in a more powerful way than any other business. Can think about the long-term ability for us to be great partners for our customers. Those things in the bigger picture and the longer view, I think, are things that have been kind of hallmarks of businesses who have had real opportunities to grow.
And you mentioned sort of significance of resilience. So what is resilience in your mind, and what is the benefit? Like, what does it mean to be resilient?
Yeah, what it means is to be adaptable and flexible in all circumstances. And with that, one of the opportunities is that hopefully you see opportunity and you're able to capitalize on and capture that opportunity in a way that you couldn't if you didn't sort of think about things in a flexible way. And I think having the sense also that we may try some things, test and learn some things, and they may work. But if they don't work, we'll at least learn something along the way that will make us better in the future. So it's having that sense of we're just going to keep at something, keep trying, keep learning, keep working to improve what we do, and continue to leverage everyone's abilities so that all the resources we have are brought to bear on the business opportunities that we have.
And is that something, like, is that a value or is that a skill? Like, can you teach people how to be resilient?
I think so. I think all of us can build our resiliency over time. And in many ways, I think, with COVID and then some of the challenges in the market, economic challenges currently, we've built a lot of resilience. And it's an opportunity to continue to build that, though, because on that base of resilience then comes the opportunity to embrace what are our new growth opportunities, either in our own personal development or in our businesses.
And Nadine, what would you say to your younger self? So if I were to be able to create a time machine, you can go back 20 years and see your younger self just starting out. What would you say to that Nadine? Yeah.
Well, I have a bit of a laundry list, probably, because I had a lot to learn for sure. One would be to find work that you love, because then it never feels like work. Then you can work very hard, you set aggressive goals, you can intensely focus on them, and it always seems like there's something new and exciting to you. I think being a student of all aspects of your business, so learning constantly as much as you can, investigating why is something happening, why is this different than we thought, what did we do better here, what can we do better in this other case. I think also finding people you enjoy working with who have very different talents and views and knowledge than you do, that will make the business stronger and do it in a very quick way. And it's a wonderful experience to engage with people who think and feel differently than you do. Focusing on the consumer or the end user or the customer or the client to create solutions that makes their lives or their business better. determining and articulating how you add value so people can maybe draw the most out of what you have to offer, and you can give more. Continue working on communicating with greater clarity, brevity, and thought leadership. Accepting feedback openly as a gift to improve yourself. So being coachable and offering coaching to others or ideas for them to continue to learn. And determining the larger purpose of your work. What is the bigger picture of what we're trying to do? And then lastly, really continue to focus on the basics. So arriving early, working to continuously improve yourself, committing to lifelong learning, simple things like having a positive attitude. And I would say kind of in the end, thinking about looking for the positives and then building from there.
That's amazing. I mean, it is, and actually kind of touched upon a few things that you mentioned earlier. And it seems like there's a bit of a trend in terms of what mattered to you. And if I poorly try to sum it up, it is that one, listen, always be open to listening to people.
Absolutely.
Create collaborative environments. So people you actually want to work with, people you enjoy working with, and be open sort of to their feedback. It may not be positive feedback every single time.
But you learn.
Yeah, exactly. Be adaptable because things are going to change.
Yes.
No matter where you are, how you are, at some point, things are going to change. So you need to be prepared to accept that change and roll with it, and keep your sort of eyes open. Explore opportunity. Don't kill your inner curiosity.
Exactly.
Feed that curiosity. Always be looking, trying to understand new things, learning new things. You never know when something like that will come handy. Keep your eyes on the prize, because that to me seems like something that you have looked at that, okay, where is it that we want to be? Where do we want to end up? So always stay focused on your end game, and then the rest of the way you will figure out as you go along.
Absolutely. It's true. Yeah, I think you put it beautifully, Faz. And I think the sense of learning all the time and being open to learn new things and understanding things with greater depth, I think is important. I also think having a sense of gratitude for everything that has been, offered to you as an opportunity, or gratitude, frankly, for challenges and problems in the business, because in the end you'll overcome that. It'll make the business stronger. You'll be stronger. And I think embracing and supporting team members, whether they're your own team or others around you, your partners in business. I have found over the years, people in general are so strong and so tough and so have so many abilities that sometimes it's just giving them the platform to draw on those and to show evidence of them and to demonstrate them. So supporting others in growing in their own resilience and their own careers is, I think, it's particularly meaningful.
I feel like, Nadine, I should have started our conversation from these things, because these are it's quite evident that you enjoy talking about these things. Not that you don't enjoy talking about other things, but you absolutely, I feel like you have that in you to mentor and coach people, and you want people to sort of learn and share your experience with you. So I feel like maybe I missed an opportunity to actually start from here and then get into the industry questions, which could have come a little bit later. But I mean, right after this, we will be going into a panel which is about women in marketing. So I did want to ask you, what advice would you give sort of up and coming women or female leaders in the industry? What would you tell them? Yeah,
I would say think about building the toolkits of marketing, continue to learn and grow those things for sure. Find a product or a brand or a business that you are passionate about, whether you're a user or not, but that you're passionate about that business and you really enjoy it. And then as you think about it, try and learn everything you can. So someone gave me advice years ago, before interviews coming out of business school. I said, go see all those products. In those days, there wasn't really online, but go see them in the store. Think about them. Think about asking questions of why they did certain things or chose certain packaging, and think about ideas you could share that might improve the business. Even if you don't know that much, you still know a good bit by observation, and you're passionate about the category, or maybe a consumer yourself, or can get in touch with people who are consumers and give you a chance to really explore it. So things that you feel strongly about and you think are good uses of your talent and skills, those are places where I'd suggest they focus. And the wonderful thing about marketing is you're really studying consumer behavior, and then thinking about what are the need states of those consumers, or in some cases clients or customers, and what can I do to offer solutions that might be novel or better, or just make things simpler for them, improve their business.
Well, Nadine, we have come to the end of our conversation, and I said the exact same thing when we had a conversation in March, that I felt like I could have gone on for longer, and I feel like,
As do I.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the same right now. Thank you very much. You're always very
Thank
generous
you.
with your time.
Thank you,
I appreciate you doing
Appreciate
that, and wish you all the very best in your journey. And hopefully
you.
we'll see you again in March.
Yes, that's the plan, and I hugely appreciate the chance to be with you today, and appreciate all of your partnership and friendship.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.